Hey, fellow Rogers, how we doing today? I'm joined with my co-host again, Reed Presley here. I'm going to jump right into it. So, successful people, top 5 tips. Now, listen, this ain't something I'm just like making up or whatever like that. Top 5 tips. This is from some of my mentors. When you take the things that they're doing consistently, regularly, what they believe it takes to stay successful. Top 5 things. One, they believe they deserve it. I'm gonna run through these and we can talk about them. One, they believe they deserve it. We talked about it before on the last episode. We talked about just what belief does for you. So we'll come to that, right? So believing they deserve it. Second is the fear of not achieving their potential. Oh, that's powerful because that's something we just talked about,
Got
right?
chills. Thanks for the hoodie.
Yeah, right. The fear of not reaching their potential. They have emotional control. That one's a powerful one. Constantly they visualize. The fifth one, all right, for the thumb there, they live with intention. Okay, so I want to talk about these 5, which some of these things we talked about. So I want to jump to the ones we haven't, right? Believing they deserve it. We talked about believing. I think that's super powerful there. Fear of not achieving their potential. We definitely hit that one. Emotional control, right? So emotional control. I'm a redhead, so this one I still struggle with. Emotional control. Emotional control for me is it's a work in progress, right? Like many times where I've had an employee not do something, the first thing I want to do is like, God damn it, God, kick their see in our business,
Emotional control, sir.
we could kick their ass in our business, right? We could do that. Can't do that in every business, but emotional control. And where are you at with that level? You're good with that, huh? I've never seen you get pissed off.
Nah,
By the way, emotional control is not about not getting pissed off. Like what I hear is when they make decisions. This is what I hear. Everybody thinks emotional is like, not wanting to go straight to fire. I think fire is okay. To me, emotional control is that you make your decisions not when you're at an emotional peak, right? Like you don't put the ring on the girl right after you know what I'm saying. Like you need to make sure it's good. You get what I'm saying, right? You don't test drive the car and then buy it. Test drive it, take a walk around the block, come back 3 days later, you still want it, then buy it, then to put the ring on it. Okay, so when are you doing that, by the way?
I think
see it, emotional control.
That's
if
right.
if it was right now, if you're doing it right now.
That's right.
Okay.
Where am I at on emotional control? Man, that's learning every day. I mean, I think one is
Well, when you make decisions, do you feel like you're making decisions sometimes when you're excited, motivated, or pissed off? Like, are you making decisions right now in your current life? Like, are you making decisions where you're like, man, that was a great experience. Let's go ahead and do this. This is, matter of fact, this is a great sales technique. Most of the things that you've ever bought in life, someone got you an emotional peak. You know anybody's ever bought a timeshare before?
Thanks.
Okay, so like the way this works is they give you a free vacation, right? So and they pick people particularly like who would take a free vacation, right? They call you, I got a free cruise, 7-day cruise free. Like shit, free, let's go. Get there and they're like, hey, we got to spend 4 hours with you on one of your days when everybody's out doing the excursion. They're gonna spend 4 hours with you, locked up watching a presentation, and then they're like, oh, but only for $300 a month for the rest of your life, you can have this great place once a year, right? So they get you an emotional peak, right? Test driving the car is a good one, right? They want you to drive the car. You drive the car, you're like, oh, because when you drive a brand new car, you got a nice car, by the way, right? If you go drive the same car right now, the same car, or what year is your car? 2018? 19. You go drive the 2023 version, the same car. Is it not going to be better? It's going to be a little faster. It's going to feel new. It's going to smell better, right? You're going to want it.
Yep.
You're going to want it.
Just be slightly better than the one that I have, right?
Slightly, right?
Where am I at,
payment's
though?
going to be.
I think that there's sometimes, of course, where making that emotional decision out of anger, and sometimes it's one of the easiest times to make a decision is when you're at an emotional
F you,
peak.
you're done. Get out of my life.
Done.
You're out of the apartment.
But I think maybe where I need to work on the emotional control is actually making a decision. I think maybe sometimes emotions can cause you to not take action, whether you're overthinking it or that emotion is fear or like, is this going to be perfect? So I guess I'm constantly working on that. And then one of the forms of emotional control I'm trying to get better at is, as an instructor, you learn how to control your rate of speech and everything, which can, say, show people that you're confident. They can feel the confidence, but it makes your information look valuable. So trying to take that emotional control over like nerves or whatever's going on, and like even on sets like this, like slow down a little bit, be truly in tune with what I'm trying to say and articulate, and not letting adrenaline or
Talk like me, 'cause
anxiousness,
I'm like, let's go, let's
you know.
go.
So I think it's a daily battle, really to
Right.
try to hone that in.
Yeah, I think I've made a lot of mistakes where I've had to apologize like the next day to someone, right? Where you did something out of emotion, either said something out of anger, took an action out of anger. Like I mean, I could think of a few instances right now where I'm like, God dang, I can't believe I did that. Like you're embarrassed by yourself, right? So now emotional control is definitely being able to recognize that and do something about it after the fact. But to me, the top five, you're talking about five tips of successful people like that they're massively great at. I think that in a lot of time they can recognize, they can make a decision. They want to go after something, but they can use logic, right? And that's a skill that I think I know I got to work on.
One thing that popped into my head um, is controlling what puts you into the right emotional state to make decisions.
Mm.
So, point of that would be
Yeah, I already thought about three things. It was great. Yes,
the,
let's go.
the I'm working a lot more with my brother Cole, and this is probably like a month or so ago. He was like, I don't want to work. I don't want to work with you on a day that if it's 3 p.m. and you haven't gone to the gym,
Oh,
you
yeah.
haven't read your book, you
Right.
haven't had food,
Right.
then I don't want to work with you that day. So maybe that's something that goes into the emotional
Yeah.
control is I always recommend people do the 75 hard, to get control over some part of your life. Like when you factor it out, it's like 2 to 3 hours a day that you
Right.
take control of for yourself.
Right.
So when I do those things, go to the gym, have good food, hit the sauna, good shower, read the book, that puts me into the right emotion to be productive, make decisions. I'm better with the master classes that we do or in any calls or seminars. So maybe that's a little bit with that emotional controls. What gives you control over the emotions and what takes control? Like if you're drinking all the time or something, that's probably taking control of the emotions where you can do things that give you control.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like that morning routine we talked about before. Like if I don't do that, I am more anxious, so my emotional state's different. So I do make decisions different. So yeah, 1000% believe. Find a way to put yourself where you're able to make good decisions fast because you're already in the right kind of peak mindset. Definitely do that. The other one here is visualize. I know for a fact you've done this a lot in your life. Um, I guess, we up here it talks about fear of not reaching your potential. I kind of think this and visualization, I mean, all these go together, but when I visualize, most of the time when I've used it really, really well is when I knew exactly the end goal I'm trying to go after. The hard part where I'm at in life right now, I think where you are in life right now, it's an unwritten book that we're writing, and so visualizing what that actually is. Because sometimes the version of success, like right now, let's say 15 years in the future, you're my age. Like, what would be success for you? What are you visualizing, or do you think that far? Or how far in the future are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay. So like, what
I'm,
what is it? What do you
I'm,
want? What is it you want? What kind of car are you in? Kind of like when I say this is like, can you picture the car you're driving? I mean, we probably can't because you'd be flying. It'd be like spaceships or something by that point. Aliens would be here. Um, but I actually don't think I do this well unless it's something very contextual that I know the end goal.
I think that I am on a journey this year to improve that skill and really using the visualization skill that I've acquired through competition. My best forms, best years, best victories were when I could sit there on that airplane and I'm thinking about the form and not just the form that goes into it, but I'm thinking about the pep talk that goes into it before. I'm thinking about the music, giving the music away. What division's going to look like? What's the warm up's going to look like?
Right.
So I know that I have the skill, but I can in front of both of our moms who are
Our two moms that are watching. Thanks, Mom. Love you.
yeah, love you, Mom. I can say this, that is something that I have to get better at using, because if I believe in honesty and the power of words. I don't have the clearest vision, but I am trying daily to truly
So
solidify.
yeah, so like right now, 8 years in the future, the only vision I have right now is my net worth is $100 million. And everything, so like everything from there backwards engineered. If it's not helping me closer to that, I'm not gonna do it. However, that's not the only thing I really want. Like I wanna, for example, I think there's like 8 states in America I haven't seen yet. I want to go see them. I need to put a target. I need to put a deadline. I need to visualize where I'm going. I got to go to Wyoming. I got to go to North Dakota. I got to go to South Dakota. I got to go to Montana. I got to go to Maine. There ain't that many left, right? I'm going to one of them this year. I'm going to Alaska this year. That's one of them. So but I need to visualize. I don't. I think I did this really good with Friday tournaments because I knew, like, all right, I knew the end goal. Right, the goal is to win. What do I got to do? I can visualize victory, things like that. I can do that with fitness. Like I know the body I want to create. I can visualize that, what it takes. When you're scripting out your life, like, see, I've got 2 kids. I need to be visualizing more about their future. I need to manifest their future. And so I think, you know, I use Elon Musk a lot of times. He talks about going to Mars. Every company owns and buys, even Twitter, is somehow designed to help him create something for that future he sees and he's visualizing. He's probably visualizing that 365. I think this is definitely something that I can see as a reason why he's that who he is, because he's really good at that.
Agree. And what I can say, like you just said, like one vision that you see 8 years from now, $100 million, like one vision that I know to be true and to be clear for myself, for equipped, it's hidden
It's
under
under
here.
there. It's under the rise.
It's burning through,
Yeah.
is
That's why it's on fire back here.
that's right. That's right. Is I want equipped to work with the professional educators. That's just something I'm saying. People that are in control of giving information to kids, basically, whether that's in martial arts, dance, gymnastics, schools, PE, like whatever. There is no limit. If you have a controlled audience, a captive audience, I want to help them develop character development in the kids so that there is a better society, better being a relative term, whatever. In my mind, and I've said this to instructors before, it's like you want to create the society of where like all the kids are holding the doors open for the elderly. They're answering up, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Like, and you can always tell when there's a rock star martial arts school in a society
Right,
or in
right.
a community,
Right.
because like not only are they wearing it, but like there's just this sense of pride from the youth because they're respectful. They want to help. So that is a clear vision that I have. Getting there, that's the question. That's what's in question.
Right. That's
But
right.
I know where I want to go. I know where equipped can change the world, and that is working with those educators in their field.
I think we got to start.
the tools.
You got to change the word change to save, because the world we're in right now is pretty
Yeah.
fucked up right now. So speaking of which, and then the last part is live with intention, right? So I know people do that. We get up and you have your day and you're intentional about most of your day. But I think that definitely I can see how that can improve, because we're doing this on the weekend right now. And there's a lot of people, like, they live for the weekend. I remember that as a kid here. Now I can't wait till Friday. I'm looking for the weekend. And I thought that was the whole goal. Like, do work hard Monday through Friday so you have the weekend for yourself. But if I'm going to live my whole life so I get 2 days of the 7 for me, that's a bad trade-off, right? Like when you do the math, 30 of your life you're sleeping. And the other 30 are probably at work. Most people hate what they do for work. They're doing it because they need income. So out of your whole life, you live to be 80, you get 25 years dictated around what you want to do. That is not going to be me.
It's not fair.
I'm not doing that. So I need to figure out how not to sleep. Run out of time. So living with intention. All right, let's switch completely. So those are the 5 things, I guess us bringing that to you guys is like, it's really more therapy for us. Like, how can we be better humans? How can we live more intent? How do we use the fear of not reaching our potential to motivate us, right? Like, how do we visualize better? Things like that. Because the cool thing about life is it's our script. It's like, you're writing your own book. I'm writing my own book. Hopefully you're writing a bestseller, right? Hopefully our life is a bestseller. I use that term in my head. Like, my life is a book. Who's going to read this book? Is it just my two kids that care? Maybe they don't even care. Like I care about my kids way more than they care about me. That's the way it works as a parent. Your mom and dad care about you way more than you care about them. It's the way it works. When you have kids, you'll understand. By the way, that phrase used to piss me off. I'm like, I have kids all day. This is true. Like you're gonna love your kids more than they love you. That's okay. It's a trade-off. Um, and totally side note is like, you ever heard of unconditional love? It only exists one way. Like you can have a wife and you think it's unconditional love. It's not. There's conditions on it for sure. A father to a son, a father to a daughter, a mother to a son, a mother to a daughter, that is truly unconditional love. Like your kids can pretty much almost do anything disgusting in the world and you're gonna love them and you can't turn off. The other way around, like your kids don't love you unconditionally. Like my daughter wants money for me. But
20 grand.
yeah. But anyway, the path of life is like, I use this thing in my life is who's going to read this book? If my life is a book and I live to 80 and I die and you took 80 years of experiences and you put it into a book, who's going to read it? Most of us, nobody reads the book, right? The only person that read the book is if your mom and dad are still around, which hopefully they're not, hopefully you outlive them, they read the book. Maybe your kids, maybe your grandkids because they're curious. After that, the shit's in the trash. So like, are you writing a bestseller? I use that in my head as a motivator. Like, is my life living up to something that somebody's curious enough about either the impact, right? The good I've done in the world, the bad I've done in the world, the life I've lived. Am I writing a bestseller? So hopefully they're writing a bestseller.
Well, I don't know why this is popping in my head,
Yeah.
but like I said, like he said, this is therapy for us. So I'll just kind of plant the thought here. One of the things I like to do in my limited free time
We know.
for some reason is I watch Naruto, which is anime, ninja, stuff
Right.
like that.
Okay.
And something, I believe it was one of the characters, Jiraiya, one of the I'll just say senseis, one of the mentors of the main character. He said something along the lines of the best part of the book or the best books are the ones where you don't know the end yet. So like you're
like a movie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
right.
like those, so when you're like writing your story, maybe you kind of have the end in mind, but enjoy that process. Like, what are you doing that's gonna that people would be like, wow, this is so compelling. Where are they gonna go? What's gonna be next? What can they achieve? What's going?
I'm checking that box in my life.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I think that's cool. And then I always like to say with instructors, there's a lot of gold nuggets in there because it's a lot about the senseis, instructors, and mentors guiding.
So this is a recommendation for the show.
This is kind of a recommendation, and it is anime, so do what you want with it.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of moments in there that you could probably use when planting seeds with your students, because it's how to do things to inspire them to make their own decisions for their growth, how to find dots to connect with them for the students to make their own, like, oh, this is a great idea, I should do it. Then it works, or you get inside their head and you solve the problems for them. So anyway, I don't know if that's relevant at all to what we're talking about, but I thought it was really cool. Like sometimes you don't know the end, and that's the exciting part.
Right.
Right.
Story. Right. Favorite dessert?
Oh, tricky. I think lately it's been ice cream. Like
When was the last time I had ice cream?
What is it? This would be like day 77 or something like that. It's probably been like it's been a while, like 100 days.
What kind of ice cream?
I like the sweet cream. I like the affogato, so it's like sweet cream with espresso.
Really? That doesn't sound like dessert. That sounds more like,
hey,
pick me up with a little cream in it.
It's good.
How you feel about creme brulee?
I like it.
Good. All right.
So you're gonna come in?
That'd be dope, right? So one place in the world you haven't been, you want to go?
One place in the world.
You've been a lot of places though. You've been to places I haven't been. Been to Australia, I haven't been there.
One note on that: there's a lot of places that I have been to that I would like to truly go to.
Right, because you were working, right?
Yeah. Working. I've never been to any Asian country at all.
Okay.
So Cole, my brother, he has been with the Adrenaline.
Is Cole your favorite brother?
Yeah, I keep on talking about Cole.
Is he your favorite brother?
No, I don't pick favorites.
Oh, that's
shit. Yeah.
He talks about his favorite brother all the time.
But he talks about, like, one of my recommendations for people is like, you definitely need to travel, check that off your box.
Yeah.
Go into coffee shops outside and then just watch society
I love
different culture. Hard to beat.
Actually, pause. Recently, I was sitting outside at a coffee shop, sitting outside for real. made a life-changing decision right then and there. I haven't told anybody about this yet. Actually, probably maybe I've told one person. That's it.
So
And so listen, so I do believe like travel, go see the world, and then take some time to soak it in for a minute. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
and he describes like when they went and performed for Jackie Chan, it's in some like rural
Yeah. In Asia.
country in Asia, in
Yeah.
China, that is like not what you see in like Beijing and stuff
Right,
like
right,
that.
right, yeah.
And people just how they're just squat on the side of the road, like what they eat, and it's like so culturally different that I kind of got exposed to a little bit when I traveled to India. But like I want to see that. Like I want to
Yeah.
know how people live. I want to know what
Right, no, let's go.
motivates people. Yeah,
What are you doing tomorrow?
like yeah, exactly. Like I love like if you truly want to save, as you mentioned, save the world, then you have to have enough people experience to understand what motivates them. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to be in different cultures to find the recurring themes of motivation. And so that's why I like to get exposed to that stuff. It's gonna
Yeah.
be different every
Travel is the
you
best
know.
education. I love taking my kids places. Like I said, we're gonna do Alaska this year. I've never been. And my daughter's she's 9 when she goes. I'll be 42. I've never been, and she gets to go at 9, right? She's been to Europe already, things like that. So definitely that's pretty dope. So where's the place you haven't been you want to go?
Um I think
China. Okay. When are you going?
need to pick a date.
I know,
When you
right?
schedule it, it happens, right?
Things that you schedule get done. Yeah, I think travel is not only a great educator. You know, I've done some weird stuff where I don't know, like I tell people I'm an introvert, and they kind of they always see the extroverted version of me. They see me on the floor teaching martial arts. They see me run a business conference. They see me do this, and they're like, "There's no way you're introverted." I think that what I recognize, I thought about me was I thought that I had a people problem. Like I did, you know, you hear people say I don't like people, so I thought like maybe I don't like people. In reality, I learned that I love people. I need people. Like it really, I'm sad when I'm not around people. Actually, I become not depressed, but I've become more introverted when I'm around, but I do need time for myself to kind of recharge. And so I like traveling alone sometimes. And I remember one time, you know, I told work, hey, I need to take a trip, whatever. I went by myself to Hong Kong. It's a long ways to go, and I only had a couple of days to go. So I literally like takes 2.5 days basically to get there, 2.5 days to come back, and I stayed for 2 days. Like it was a long week for well, but for me, it's not even where I was going. It's the fact that being on a plane in my thoughts, listening to stuff, documenting what I want to do in my life. Like, because if I stay home, I work, you know, if me and my wife too, like if we want to date, we pretty much have to go to town because if we stay in town, I'm gonna find something to do. Even when we travel, I'll find something to do, but I think travel is a great educator and seeing the world and everybody's like, oh, it's so expensive. It's not. Like it can be, of course, if you want to go crazy. And I've had some expensive trips, but I've had some. Man, I literally went to Hong Kong. A plane ticket was under $1,000 for round trip. A couple $100. I mean, it was cheap. Like probably 2 grand. Be gone for a week. And all I did, you know what I did? I don't know if I told you this. I literally had no agenda. I literally just walked and got lost.
Yeah.
I remember walking. Um, you know, Hong Kong's surrounded by water. It's basically it's an island. So I'm walking, and I remember seeing the Bruce Lee statue that I've seen before pictures of. I'm like, oh shit, this is where it's at, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And just walk next to the harbor and stuff like that. And then I'd go sit in a restaurant and just sit. What I don't like doing is just going to all the tourist traps. Right? I like going just getting lost, finding the coffee shop, whatever it is. And I remember going to this place and I didn't know how to cook the food because you have to kind of cook your own food at this place. And I had to watch everybody and they make fun of me. Great, you know, I'm not worried about it. So China.
Basically, what you're saying is you can travel if maybe you don't go out for 4 weekends.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. If you don't go to the there's so much truth to that. We waste so much money on dumb stuff and don't realize that, you know, being in from the martial arts space, people are like, oh, I can't afford $200 a month for my kids' martial arts lessons. And in my mind, I'm like, I know the end of what it's going to do for your kids. You really can't afford not to, because you're going to spend that $200 on your kid for something. You're going to take him to you're going to take him to Top Golf. That's $140. You're going to take him to a Chuck E. Cheese or Defy or something like that. You're going to spend money on them. That's just entertainment, not extra education. Or you put them in soccer, put them in football. You're going to put them in something. Cool thing about martial arts is you can do it the rest of your life and the life skills and all those things. But the point is like you're going to invest 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand on your kid. You're going to invest. That's the word I use and your child, if not more, if not more. I mean, your parents have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in for you guys. So all we hope as a parent that is it pays off, right? So, all right.
It's like it's almost like we're kind of bouncing around the, discipline is sacrificing the now for later.
Yeah.
I think where myself, other people can get better at is having that later or that end in mind that makes the now easier. Because I think some people are like, oh, I'm not gonna have that cake now,
Right.
because I want to have abs later. But that's
Right.
that's not a strong enough
And I want
compelling
both.
thing. 'Cause
How
it's
do we
like,
have both? How do we get cake and abs?
Yeah, exactly.
Dang,
when,
I wanna
when you
figure that
it out, let me
That's
know.
what I want to figure out.
But to take that a step further, it's like you have to, when you're able to create somewhat of that later or that compelling future, you're not just changing the actions because that you're going to run out of energy, you're going to run out of steam. You have to change who you are. So sometimes that's the power to, I truly want this, I visualize this. Who do I have to be to get there? And then that makes the now better because who that person is wouldn't do X, Y, and Z and will do the later.
So like ice cream, you want to go to China, okay? You're gonna have kids when you grow up?
I will.
How many kids you having?
I mean, coming from a big family, there's power in siblings, so I would definitely have more than
So is that 2 or 20?
And-
Yeah, you have a litter? What's going on here?
Whatever God wants.
Oh my goodness, taking safe. We don't do safe here. We do truth here. So what's the next step in your evolution of who you are as a person? What's the next thing?
Put me,
Come on,
put me on the spot.
it's therapy for us. 27,
I
28 this year,
I
getting closer to 30.
I think something that will help me forever is being able to almost subconsciously differentiate between what I need to do and what I want to do. So that's that I know I just talked
So
about.
vague.
I'll see if I can bring it in.
Yeah.
Trying to solidify who I want to be.
Right.
Do
you have an idea who that is? Yes or no?
Kind of. I think that's where a lot of my, my daily mission is to like truly
Figure out who that is.
figure out who that is.
Dude, I'm 15 years older than you, and I'm still trying to figure out who I want to be.
So it's
So
like,
I don't think you, even when you do, hopefully you evolve into another version of yourself that you continually push. But I'm still trying to figure out who I want to be.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm your age. I swear, like I feel like I'm just waking up. I was just born. I just have an education. I just have an idea, small piece of what my potential is. So I don't think you ever really figure out who this person is. I think you're always trying to go after it, right?
I think it was on this one. The story people want to read is
Yeah.
know who it is.
That's
So
right. Yeah. It's work in
with-
progress.
This is always interesting to say because I feel I've got emotions and feelings controlling them. I feel that a lot of people kind of hear the negative of what I'm about to say. And if you know me, you know that this is not an ego-driven statement. I want whoever that person is 10, 15, 20, 25 years in the future is, I do want that person to be a good example. I do
Okay,
want
yeah.
it. I do want myself to be something where people can look at and kind of see some path that maybe they
Aspire to be like.
aspire
Yeah.
to be like, and I don't want people to hear like, I want to be so good so people want to be it's not that at all, because some of the things that I do on a daily basis are not fun things to do, but I know it's what I need.
Like
to
90
do.
seconds of cold water.
90, yeah.
Gotta work on that.
You got to get up to 8 minutes,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I don't hear any negative. I mean, if you were my son, that would be exactly what I would want to hear. You live your life in a way that people want to emulate, right? And emulate you to the point to they kind of discover who they are. Matter of fact, people have already done that with you, right? When it comes to the martial arts space that you were in, people have emulated you and wanted to be like you. So, but somewhat superficially, right? what you're talking about is you want the way you lead your life, your character, how you treat people. So I think that's some aspirational just in itself.
And that does not mean at all. It's actually the complete opposite of thinking that I'm perfect or will ever be perfect. Like
Slightly
I
perfect.
think
I'm kind of good looking. You're slightly perfect.
I'm trying.
Minus the height, get
I-
on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying. I got insults. So,
Okay.
just kidding. Yeah, but yeah, maybe this my train. But I think I I recognize not perfect. That I know I'm not perfect, and I have made mistakes that I have forgiven myself for. But I know that in the act of making those mistakes has kind of guided me into some of the actions that might be things.
I mean, mistakes. The problem is you haven't made enough mistakes. I think it's the other way around. I think you haven't done enough things wrong. Because here's the thing is, you know, everybody, and you heard me say this before, but everybody's like, oh, you're about to get married, which Reed's about to get married, guys. You heard it here first. We'll tell his girlfriend in a minute. But everybody's like, oh, you're about to get married. Let me give you like you should get marriage advice from this person. They're like, they want to talk to the person who's been married for 40 years. My parents have been married, 45, 46 years, something like that. Like, let's get advice from someone who's been married a long time. I'm the other way around. I'm like, shit, I want to hear advice from the guy who's been married 3 times and got it right finally the third time. Like, what did he do wrong? Like, you learn more when you dropped your weapon in competition or you got beat by someone, you nailed your friend, someone still beat you. And defeat is when you're like, all right, I did everything I thought I could have done and I still sucked and I still lost. How do I learn from that? Right. If you lean into the right emotion during that time. So I think you haven't messed up enough in life yet. I think you need to screw up more. With the idea, not that you're looking for, hey, how can I go screw up my life? But what I'm saying though is that's where the story really will be developed. And then you learn more about your character. I tell people I try to put them in transition. I use language. I'll say something provocative to see how they react. Right. And I posted a thing with Jackson the other day as a video, and there's all these negative comments, right? And it just shows me how small-minded some of these people are. Like they're picking on some kid about his martial arts skills when they haven't done anything significant in their life, probably. It's very easy to be a keyboard warrior, but when you put people in transition, you find out where they really are, right? And so I think the cool thing is you have no idea where your life's going to go. That's what's kind of fun, because if you knew, I mean, I think everybody's like, they want some kind of idea of where their life's going, but the idea of having the variety is the spice of life. That's kind of exciting.
Well, I think another way to say be an example is I need to make the mistakes to have the experience to
Right.
be able to talk to people.
Right.
So like I've definitely fully felt, you can tell when you're learning from someone who has done it, tried it, failed it, succeeded. Like there's
Right.
a
And
sense
it's
of
real.
feeling
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
real. I mean,
As
just
opposed to theory
yesterday,
or something like that. Yeah.
and just yesterday, talking to your son Jackson, mentoring him about, what to do in his forms. Like I can remember a time in my competitive career where maybe I wasn't winning, and I wasn't mastering and nailing my form, but it was easy to think I need to add another trick. I need to
Right.
add something else. I need to add some.
What's
It was
missing?
only later on that I realized, no, it's not add, it's refine and improve. So now I'm able to talk to him about like maybe not
Right.
get this so good that
Right.
you're truly mastered it. And then there's a sense of feeling from that you have that makes adding things easier later on. So like kind of using that as a way to bring this all together.
Yeah, for sure. I remember somebody in the sport karate world talked about he would do stuff with his nunchucks that were actually easy, but he would sell it, make it look hard. So taking the easy, make it look hard. And then when it comes to the business world, it's not about taking constantly new ideas to the same people, to your old people. It's taking the old refined ideas, just finding new audiences, because these are tried and true and they work, but you just need a bigger pipeline, bigger audience. So the same thing is like, if you're going to live a life where people want to, hey, look, that's the guy I want you to look up to or emulate his life. Like you need some colorful parts to your life, so that way you have the example of how you've dealt with adversity. Like adversity hits everybody. It's going to hit me. It's going to hit you. It's going to hit us again. It's going to hit our families. It's about what you do when that happens to you. Most people, what they do is it's like hitting a brick wall. They stop, and they reevaluate, and they panic, and they make an emotional decision. Like, screw that, I'm not doing that anymore. Like I use the analogy of a relationship. It's like you break up with a girl, oh, I'm never dating a girl like that ever again. More than likely, you end up dating the same kind of girl, right? Like you're attracted to a certain kind of person for a reason. So really what you should do is instead of saying, I'm never gonna date that kind of girl, it's like, all right, what you should evaluate. What did I do in this relationship? What happened to me? What was the purpose behind it? So because I'm gonna find a person probably like that again. Like, because every girl I've ever ended up being with, there's a lot of similar traits, right? So, and I'm not swearing off. I'm like, didn't want to go back for another team. I was like, I like the team I was batting for. So I need to learn about me.
Yep.
And then shit, that's a work in progress, bro. That's never gonna stop. Hopefully not.
Adversity it's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
Basic, whether it was when I was super sick and was taken out of the competition world, that probably would have been that I was actually getting burned out too. That's the side of the story that I don't talk a ton about is I ended up getting sick at the time that I was getting burned out. So that sickness gave me the time to rekindle the fire to come back. Came back, ruptured Achilles. Would have been also
Life doesn't happen to you, happens for you.
That's right.
That's good.
Could have been easy to step out of the game then. Switching out of the martial arts world but into more of the fitness world, ended up breaking my wrist. That could have been an easy way because you can't do
How'd you break
anything
your wrist?
at any
What'd you
time.
do?
Just backflip gone wrong, came down on it.
How
And
did you do that?
then
How did
I
you
don't
do
think I've really talked about it publicly on the internet. Really is end up breaking my neck as well.
Doing some more dumb shit.
Doing more, making mistakes for good stories. I guess
Yeah,
is what I
story.
can say now.
Listen,
But like all of those
was
would
it-
have been a good moment to say, "Oh, I'm done doing X."
Yeah.
It's easy to coast now, but I feel like each time I learned something that shaped me.
You know what I really learned from that story is at least two of those three things are trying to impress a lady. So it's always a woman's fault. That's what we're motivated. Like, what for real, very few things that, I mean, men and women both are motivated pretty simply, right? Like whether it's love or sex, whatever you want to call it, like we're chasing someone to actually care and love us. And hopefully we find a person who doesn't see the exterior, they actually get to know us and we allow them to see us. And there's very few people that probably ever get deep
That's
inside,
scary.
right? That is a little scary. Cool. All right. So China ice cream. Let's roll. Thanks, boss.